friends, welcome to Nerdy Bitz, Too Long Didn't Read Edition, where I, the Reverend Tracy, am going to take one study, one researcher, or one psychology concept and break it down in about 8 to 10 minutes so you can get all of that nerdy good stuff without feeling like you've read a textbook. Today's drop pairs with our multi-generational home episode, and I want to talk about a researcher named John Cacioppo, because what he found about loneliness is one of those things that sounds a bit dramatic until you understand the science behind it, and then it just sounds accurate. Here's the headline. Your brain treats being alone like a physical threat. Not metaphorically, not, ooh, it feels bad. I'm talking physiologically, neurologically, and even at the cellular level, chronic loneliness activates the same biological systems as being in danger. Let me explain how we know that. First, who is John Cacioppo? John Cacioppo was a social neuroscientist at the University of Chicago. He passed away in 2018, and he spent nearly 3 decades building what became the scientific foundation for understanding loneliness. Before his work, loneliness was treated as kind of a soft subject, a feeling, an emotional problem, not something with hard biology behind it. Cacioppo changed all that, though. He co-founded the field of social neuroscience, which is the study of how social experience gets under your skin and affects your actual physiology. Brain scans, blood pressure measurement, immune function, stress hormones, gene expression. He brought rigorous measurement to a subject that had been mostly dismissed as being too fuzzy to study. And what he found was not fuzzy at all. What loneliness actually does to your body. Here's where it gets genuinely wild. Cacioppo's research showed that loneliness, and specifically the perception that your social connections are inadequate, triggers your sympathetic nervous system. And if that sounds familiar to you, that's because that is your fight or flight system, baby. That's the one that's supposed to activate when you're in physical danger, like when you're about to get punched in the face. His team found that lonely people showed elevated cortisol levels, disruptive sleep quality, which by the way means that they were getting enough sleep but waking up feeling more fatigued, and increased inflammatory gene expression in white blood cells. And that last finding is particularly striking because loneliness was actually altering how genes were being expressed at the cellular level. The reason Cacioppo believed this happens goes back to evolution. For our ancestors, being separated from the group wasn't just unpleasant, it was genuinely dangerous. No group meant no protection, no food sharing, no cooperative survival. So basically, the brain developed an alarm system for social disconnection the same way it developed an alarm system for physical pain or predators. The loneliness signal is the brain saying, hey man, your survival is at risk. Get back to your people. He described loneliness as being like a fever, unpleasant but on purpose, designed to motivate you to change your behavior. Short-term loneliness, the kind that nudges you to reach out, to connect, to invest in your relationships, is actually adaptive. It's the system working correctly. It's the reason you'll be like, hey, I haven't talked to my friend such and such in a long time. And then you reach out. The problem is chronic loneliness when the alarm won't turn off. And here's where the research gets a bit uncomfortable. Cacioppo found that chronic loneliness, which is persistent, perceived isolation over time, doesn't just keep stress response activated. It changes how the brain processes the social world around us. Lonely people, his research showed, developed an implicit hypervigilance for social threat. Their brains start scanning automatically for signs of rejection, exclusion, and hostility. And they find them, even in neutral situations, more readily than non-lonely people do. So loneliness makes you more likely to perceive threat in social situations, which makes social situations feel more dangerous, which makes you more likely to withdraw, which deepens the isolation. Cacioppo called it a trap. The biology that was designed to push you back toward connection can flip into the very mechanism that reinforces that same disconnection. And the health consequences of chronic loneliness stack up significantly. His research linked it to higher blood pressure, worse immune function, accelerated cognitive decline, and significantly higher mortality risk. His book, Loneliness, Human Nature, and the Need for Social Connection, was published in 2008 with William Patrick. and it laid out the evidence that prolonged loneliness can be as damaging to your health as smoking or obesity. Not as bad for your feelings, as bad for your physical body. Now, here's why I wanted to pair this with the multi-generational home episode specifically. One of the things Cacioppo's research consistently found is that what matters isn't the number of social contacts you have. It's the quality and closeness of your relationships. Having 100 acquaintances does not protect you, but having a few people who are genuinely present in your life absolutely does. He also found something that directly challenges the way we've built our social architecture in this country. The quality of social relationships is a far more important predicator of loneliness than the quantity. And relationships don't stay warm on their own. They require proximity, regularity, and genuine engagement. What the multi-generational home provided and what its decline removed was exactly that. Built-in daily proximity to people who are attached to you. Not scheduled visits, not phone calls. Actual shared daily life with people who know you and are known by you. Cacioppo's research gives us the neuroscience for why that matters. The brain doesn't just like having close people nearby, it actually needs it. The absence of that kind of consistent, close, daily connection registers as a threat signal. Not loudly, not consciously, but biologically at the level of stress hormones and immune function and sleep quality. We built a society that systematically reduced that kind of connection for millions of people, and then we were surprised by the epidemic of loneliness. Cacioppo would not have been surprised by this. He spent decades showing us exactly what was coming. So here's the takeaway. What do you do with this? First, if you feel lonely, that feeling is not a character flaw. Dead stop. You do not have to punish yourself because you feel lonely. It's a biological signal doing exactly what it's designed to do. The shame around loneliness is the worst possible response to it because shame makes you less likely to reach out, which deepens the isolation, which is exactly what the biology doesn't need. Second, the research is clear that the antidote to loneliness is not more social media contacts or a bigger network. It is closer, more consistent, more present relationships with fewer people, quality over quantity every time. And third, if you listen to the multi-generational home episode and something in it resonated with you, this is the neuroscience underneath it. The pull toward living closer to the people you love isn't weakness or failure to launch. It's your brain accurately identifying what it needs to not be in emergency mode. Cacioppo wrote in his book that human beings are simply far more intertwined and interdependent physiologically as well as psychologically than our cultural assumptions have ever allowed us to acknowledge. And it actually goes directly against a lot of our cultural normative messages around that independence that we so love in America. And that's the whole thing, honestly. So that's your Nerdy Bitz Too Long Didn't Read for today. If you want to go deeper, Cacioppo's book, Loneliness, Human Nature, and the Need for Social Connection is genuinely accessible and written for a general audience. So it's not a textbook read and completely worth your time. So thank you guys for taking in some of my nerdy bits, and I will see you next time.
Subscribe to Friends Talking Nerdy
on YouTube Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify,
or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Bye, friend.